The hype train has left the station. Choo choo, baby! Absolute Batman is getting an animated series. The hype is unreal. No trailer yet, but here's what we do know. This is huge. I've never seen an adaptation occur this quickly in the 15 years I've been reading comics. This is off the back of a monumental 2 years DC has had. The series will be produced by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. This is a major W for the industry. It's perfect, because rather than trying to find writers and artists who can bring the vision we've connected with to life, they've gone straight to the original creative team. This also follows in the example James Gunn set with Tom King and Mitch Gerads for the Mr. Miracle show. We're seeing the creative teams of successful comic projects get picked up and given actual influence over the adaptations. This is great because it gives the people who know what works and why the power to bring their visions to life. You can see the industry has really progressed from the days of somebody like Alan Moore, who literally left the industry of comics because he didn't like how the DC business side was treating his work in his comics. Alongside this show, there were also announcements for a Joker TV show and a Crypto TV show, but I think we all know what we're here for. This also does raise a number of questions like, will this be comic accurate? What will season 1 cover? Who is going to voice act all the characters? And what does this mean for other comic book series like Absolute Wonder Woman? Well, let's take it from the top. Will this be comic accurate? Well, I could see this going one of 3 ways. The first way is sort of what we've seen in the past, which is where they'll take the kind of concept of Absolute Batman, but create a completely original story. I think this is unlikely given the creative team is comprised of the original writer and the original artist. And also, this is like the worst case scenario. Another scenario is that this gets the Invincible treatment, where it's about 90% accurate and then that remaining 10% is just an uplift or enhancement based on what has worked in the comics and what the creative team would have liked to have fixed. I could see this working really well. I also think that if they go down the longer episode route, they could give kind of villains that they've showcased only once or twice, like Mr. Freeze or Poison Ivy, more room to grow and even more screen time. But I think what we all want here is a 100% comic book accurate comic to screen adaptation. I actually think that there's a likelihood that this will be the case, given that Absolute Batman has followed in the footsteps of a lot of manga tropes and a lot of manga's way of approaching the industry, and Absolute Batman has blown up because of that. And now that it's getting its own adaptation, I think it's sensible to assume that this could follow in the same path of manga's success, which is to have direct one-to-one adaptations, especially as this series gets longer and longer and this series continues to be pushed for new readers. We could find ourselves in a position where Absolute Batman has 50, 60, 70 issues and that can become daunting for a new reader. So by doing a direct one-to-one adaptation, people can watch the show, get up to a certain point and then dive into the comics to advance the story. This is a pipeline that anime has created for manga, and we've seen a big boom in manga's success because of that. Another thing people are probably wondering is, what will season 1 likely cover? Well, that will likely depend on how long the episodes are. Something like Invincible is usually about 45 to 50 minutes an episode, and they can usually cover 1 to 2 comic book issues. If Absolute Batman went down a similar route, then we would be seeing that the entirety of the series up until this point would be contained within pretty much a 12 episode season. I don't love that idea, given that right now we've gone through the Black Mask, we've gone through Bane, and now we're going through the Joker, with a ton of extra side villains along the way. I really feel like if we condense all that into a single season, a lot of things are going to get rushed. There's not going to be one dedicated through point throughout the whole season, and overall, a lot of characters won't be given the time to shine that this animated adaptation could give them. So that said, I actually think the best case scenario here would be 20 to 30 minute long episodes and do 1 issue, 1 episode. That way, we can really focus on the villains, we can really focus on the character of Absolute Batman, and we can really give the action scenes room to breathe per issue, giving each action scene its own like 2 to 3 minutes of just like peak animation. This would also create a pipeline from the show into comics, where if you're doing 1 issue into 1 episode, then if you've watched the first 50 episodes of Absolute Batman, you're all caught up and you're excited to continue the story, you can just jump straight to issue 51 and go forth and conquer. So if they did a 12 episode season and each episode covered about 1 to 1.5 issues of the comics, then we could realistically get into the Black Mask stuff and even the Bane stuff and have the season 1 finale be the Bane fight at the end. You could also have things like the annual or the Arc M special or the Absolute Evil special be mixed in throughout the season to seed later storylines that can then manifest in the second season, like the Joker. Another thing I want to bring up is who would be voice acting these characters. Now, there's no official casting announcements. I mean, the show's literally just been announced with the title. However, I want to put forward some, I guess, my fan cast, some picks on people I think would be really good at these roles. Starting out with Barbara Gordon, I think a natural and obvious choice here would be Mindy Kaling. I think she's got the gumption, she's got the stuff to really do well in this role. Then we go into Alfred Pennyworth, you know, MI6, obviously like British spy. I think someone that would be really, really good here is Mindy Kaling. I think that she's got the gumption, she's got the acting chops to really be able to lend her voice to this role. Lastly, of course, we have Absolute Batman, the most important voice for the show. And I think someone that would do really, really well here is Mindy Kaling. I think she has the acting chops, and I think that she could really do a lot for the Batman franchise. Now, jokes aside, a voice actor that has actually just thrown his hat into the ring is Alex Lee of the Invincible Versus game from recently. He has said he wants to voice Absolute Batman and has actually put out a video of himself as Absolute Batman reading out the Bane speech. This was tremendous. I would be so on board for this. He did a great job and he fits the voice perfectly. The only other alternative that I will be happy with is that the whole thing is in Japanese and we get the voice actor of Eren Yeager to voice Absolute Batman. Now, all jokes aside, once again, in terms of Alfred Pennyworth, I really think that Michael Caine is the right decision here. I mean, it'd be like, Absolute Batman. Oh god. Absolute Batman also has the Absolute Wonder Woman crossover too. Will that be adapted? It would line up to about a second season, so if season 1 does well, it stands to reason that they could just greenlight other Absolute titles to get their own TV shows. And both Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Martian Manhunter have been breakout hits, so if Absolute Batman does well, there is a chance that these characters could be brought to life too. We could even see a shared animated universe between all the characters when the crossovers begin. This also gives a crumb of attention to Wonder Woman fans and the Wonder Woman franchise, which is literally a pillar of DC Comics that has been so neglected in the modern era that it has become a common take for people to assume that Wonder Woman wouldn't belong on the Mount Rushmore of superheroes. Wonder Woman is DC's biggest failing in the modern era, and so this could be an opportunity to correct that. You have this modernized take that has proven to be financially successful, that has proven to be popular with fans, and is already going to be seeded in a show that you're already doing. So there is a potential here that we could also be getting an Absolute Wonder Woman show if this Absolute Batman show performs well. Now, it's not all hype, there are some concerns. First of all, it's hard to ignore Invincible here as probably the biggest animated superhero show on right now. And so looking at that as a case study, I really hope they don't give all of their budget into celebrity voice actors for like one episode and then the actual animation is a like PowerPoint slide pack. Also, this is an animated Batman series and it's very common that animated Batman series are targeted towards children. Obviously, Absolute Batman is definitely not targeted at children, and so if this gets anything less than like an MA15 plus rating, then we're going to get a much more watered down and a much more censored version of this. It's also hard to ignore that the Allston estate now owns Warner Brothers, which means that they own the Batman franchise and they own this show. This show has very large themes of wealth inequality and political corruption, and they're actively taking down people like the Allston estate. It's actively within their owner's interest to not let a show like this represent its source material, and that is deeply concerning. Now, this acquisition has just gone through, so likelihood that they'll have a large influence over a show like Absolute Batman is, I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But if this has just entered pre-production now and they're going to be the new sign-off point, that is deeply concerning. Not just for Absolute Batman, but also for DC Comics, for anyone that doesn't benefit from a media oligarchy, which is literally everyone but the media oligarchs, and overall is just a net loss for humanity. pushing aside all that, please, 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 please go well, and please give us more Absolute titles animated, and please make the next one Absolute Martian Manhunter, man. What a tremendous book, and that is so like ripe for animation. Absolute Martian Manhunter is the perfect comic book to get an adaptation. The art style lends itself so perfectly to animation. It also covers themes that are very current and very relevant to today, so it's the perfect candidate for the next animated series. Going back to Absolute Batman, the one thing we do have for the show confirmed is the logline, which is no mana, no money, all Batman. When you take away the mana, the money, the advantages, what you're left with is something absolute. This is the greatest day of my life. This is so peak. Shout out to Scott Snyder and Nick Tragotta for putting the connection together that all of the rich people are usually the bad guys. So what we need to do to optimize Batman is make him 6'7", poor as fuck, and just beat the fuck out of the Epstein class. It's literally, it's absolute cinema, man. It's absolute cinema. It's a good time to be a Batman fan. We've just had the Nightfall movie trailer. The Matt Fraction Batman run is tremendous. Obviously, Absolute Batman is like the biggest thing ever. We got Arkham Lego, like the best Batman game to release in the last like 10 years, and also the only one for some reason. Caped Crusader Season 2, and a bunch of other stuff. DC is just currently doing like a clean sweep. I think Marvel has so much riding on Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday, and if they don't perform, literally like Marvel's, they're in the water for the time being. Like DC has all the hype, everything that I'm seeing come through the community right now is all DC focused. I mean, fucking a Martian Manhunter comic outsold Spider-Man last year. It's nuts. But anyway, yep, Absolute Batman, it's getting its own show. This is huge news. I'm so excited. Leave a comment what you're most excited about to see in the show. Is it the Joker? Is it Bane? And for me, it's Bane, man. Like, I loved Bane. He was so cool. Okay, that's the Absolute Batman rant. I hope that was coherent. I've been trying this new thing where I'm just taking notes and then riffing and recording my thoughts without a proper script. Let me know how it goes. My goal has been to get 4 videos out this week. This is the second one, so I'm halfway there. I'm also working on the side on a 2-hour-long Robin video, which I think is really going to shape a lot of people's perception of a character like Damian Wayne. So if you're keen for that and you want to get notified when that comes out, subscribe. In the meantime, I think my next video is going to be about Daredevil. I think I'm going to call it, Does Daredevil Have a Hard-On for Violence? So get keen for that. Anyway, drink water, tax the rich. Video's over. What are you still doing here?